Hey guys, how's it going? What's up? Well, using an external Thunderbolt case as a main boot drive on your Mac, I decided I want to do some experimenting today. Plus, see if they fix the bug. There was a bug a while back in Ventura when I had done a fresh reload, installed Ventura raw, and thought, okay, because I have nothing against doing upgrade after upgrade after upgrade, but sometimes it does chew some extra space and a little bit extra RAM. So nothing like running a pure raw unadulterated operating system, right? Well, what happened at that time was Rosetta wouldn't install, kept giving a server error problem. And so I called Apple. We were on the phone for like 2 hours, and me and the guy, and we tried to get extra help in the building. And yeah, we're all like dumbfounded. Like the servers are saying everything's fine and there's no hiccups or glitches or errors, but yeah, we're getting a problem here. So after about 2 hours of this, the bottom line of the story was we reinstalled Monterey, then fired up an Intel-based app that would want Rosetta. It installed Rosetta just fine. Then we went to Ventura, and voila, we were still running Rosetta. Well, today I want to do some experimenting for a couple reasons. Okay, one of which is to discuss what do you do in case your internal SSD dies on your Mac and you're of course off warranty. Well, you don't throw it in the garbage because the computer will still work just peachy cream and fine. Just means you're going to need an external Thunderbolt drive, and I would definitely highly recommend these Indermin drives, or whatever you want to call them. Indermem. We'll cut off to the Amazon website in a minute. But I bought this case for 120 bucks on Amazon, Canadian of course, dollars. And I've got a Kingston, way overkill though, but it's a Kingston KC3000 PCIe Express 4 drive in there that's rated for 7,000 megabits per second. Well, of course, we only have Thunderbolt 3 on the M1 here, so who cares? It works. And I get way over the rating of the drive. The drive is only rated for like 2,500 read, 2,400 write. I'm getting consistent speeds of over 2,700 megabits per second read and write. Well, okay, so my drive is definitely a little overkill for the speed rating, but whenever I get a faster capable Thunderbolt case down the road and a newer Mac that has Thunderbolt 4, then definitely it's going to be to my advantage to hang on to this drive, even though it's only 1 terabyte. But regardless, we are doing further testing. I did order a second Thunderbolt case today because the drive that's sitting in this case, which is only a 3.2, so I'm limited to about 900 megabits per second read write, even though the drive is Express 3 and it's rated for 35 by 3000, I'm only getting about 900-ish read and write. So I want more out of my drive because right now my drive is starving, okay? And it wants to go faster and it can't. And it does cause a lot of extra heat when you're starving your drive. So the more efficiently and properly you can get your drive running, the cooler it's going to run, the more stable it's going to be, and everything will be happy. And besides, I need another case anyways because I still have this 500 gig or half a terabyte drive, which is the original one out of my Asus gamer system, because it's now running a 1 terabyte Express 4 and 1 terabyte Express 3 drive. They both kick some butt. In fact, I have the same KC3000 sitting in the Express 4 port in my Asus laptop, and it's running out at very, very close to the edge of that 7,000 read write. So I'm very happy with those results, let me tell you. Anyways, so running an external drive as a OS drive is your solution if you are off warranty and your internal SSD dies in your Mac. Okay, this is a great, perfect solution. Okay, so kudos there. Runs fantastic. Ventura in there raw. Still chews about the same amount of RAM as an upgraded version, I'm finding. So just under 5 gigs. So we didn't really save any RAM there. Did save some drive space, that's for sure. But I did leave my internal alone when I did the install. I did not wipe out my internal 512 because in case I decided to change my mind, I can just simply unplug this drive and reboot the computer, sign in with my Apple ID, plug this one back in again, and then reformat this one and just use it for whatever. So it does pay to not touch your internal unless you really want to. Now, the thing is, you can still use your internal drive even if you don't touch it. I've still got about 340 gigs free on my internal, even though it's still preloaded, ready to rock when I want it to. I can still read and write from the drive. So let's say I'm stuffing my drive here and I need a bit of extra, and I'm in between paychecks, or maybe I just don't have enough money right now, but I need at least another 200 gigs, and I know I got 340 kicking around. I can always go to the Finder preferences, to the Finder settings, and tell it to show hard disks, and it'll then show that on my desktop of my internal, and I can use my internal for some extra storage. Or I can just reformat it and use the whole half a terabyte. No big deal, right? Because I'm using an external as a boot drive anyways. And, as far as speeds go, my internal Mac Mini drive is just shy of 3,000 megabits per second read and write. So this thing is not that much slower. Like, this is like almost 2,800 megabytes read and write. Even though the case is only rated for 25 by 24, the drive is running faster. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how an Express 3 drive at 35 by 3000 runs when we speed test it. And that drive case will be here in a couple days. So do stay tuned to the channel if you want to know about that info and how an Express 3 version drive works in this particular case. All right, so right now we are going to cut off and we are going to go to the Amazon website because I want to show you some stuff and talk a little bit more about this sort of thing. Okay, so instant for you. Website, look what we see. An Oracle upgraded M.2 nvme SSD enclosure, PCI Express 3x4, USB-C adapter, aluminum NVMe PCI 2880 M key, B&M key, external solid state drive case, supports Thunderbolt. It is at 40 gigabits per second. Does support Thunderbolt, but all 3, 4, USB 3.2, 3.1, 3.0, Type-C, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you can get this in a couple of different colors, gold, gray, or silver. No big deal in that speed range for $119. Now, I have heard of people who like the Oracle cases and some who really don't care for them very much. Not 40 gigabit compatible. Solid product works well. The only issue I have with the speed, I maxed out at 3100 megabit per second read and 1500 write. Well, do you ever think that maybe, dude, you have the wrong drive? See, different drives, guys, girls, are going to be affected in different ways for reads and writes. Okay? That's the funky part. And this guy is like, well, 40 gigabit per second is theoretical speeds. It's not solid written in stone. And he's probably also in a Thunderbolt 3 port, not a Thunderbolt 4, which Thunderbolt 4 should give more closer to the theoretical speed of 40, where Thunderbolt 3 is quite not there. For a prime example, my external drive, which is my current operating system drive as well, we are at 2766.5 and 2759.5. And we can do this all day long, and it's going to be pretty much consistent, plus or minus a couple of megabits per second, okay? So, yeah, now this, of course, is not the same case we're talking about, but the drive I'm using is, of course, an Express 4 drive, okay? And it's rated at 7,000 megabits per second, but you need at least double of 40, so you're going to need at least 80 gigabits per second to get pretty close to that 7,000 read and write, okay? Which means we need something along the lines of either Express 4 slot in a computer that has the Express 4 slot, which my Asus laptop does, and I have the exact same drive in there that I have sitting in this case. And the drive in my computer on the Express 4 slot with an Express 4 drive does run really close to that edge of 7,000 read and write. So, we know this. So this chap is definitely got an issue, and I think it's more the drive he's using than anything, because he definitely has a Thunderbolt 3 at least for his port, possibly even a Thunderbolt 4, but his drive is not up to snuff on read and write capability with the input output of the drive case. So the drives are affected. We know this, okay? Not every drive will run the same. Here's a guy using a 980 Pro drive, external versus internal speeds, of course, and you'll pretty much see right from the get-go at 6609 and 4675, that is definitely his internal on his MacBook Pro M1, because that's kind of a normal thing to see with the 0.5 terabyte drive in that MacBook, okay? Where his external is 3105 and 2917. That's pretty impressive, which is telling me it looks like the M1 Pros must have a Thunderbolt 4 port, which I would have to check that out, but Apple doesn't sell the M1 anymore, so I'm going to have to actually go the back door of looking up specs, because they're only showing what's currently on their website for sale, unless I can find it another way. But either way, I can find that information. But that looks more realistic for this guy here, for being more of the Thunderbolt 4 side of the fence, because he's getting well over 3,000 on the read and just under 3,000 on the write. So it's a tough call. This one here, 1850 write, 2550 read, not quite sure. USB 4, TB4 speed, but pretty good for 200 Canadian. Well, this is likely another Mac user because of the program being used, which is very common for Mac people. His speeds are still going to be good for all of his video editing. However, his drive is not a drive that is going to be able to perform that well. And we don't know what computer he's using, but that looks like it could also be not only the drive could be an issue, it could be the format routine. Because if you recall the other day when I was talking about this drive enclosure, we showed different formats. And if you format under exFAT, it's going to be slower drive read speedings than going APFS. And Mac Extended as well is going to have a different speed on the exact same drive. So your best bet, if you're a Mac user, whether you have Thunderbolt 3 or 4 with your drive, to get the best results out of that drive, you need to format under APFS. And in fact, if you are using your drive externally as a boot drive like I am right now, you actually have to go APFS formatting for macOS Ventura, okay? Because if you format under the extended, what happens there is when you quit the disk utility program, it kicks you back to installing Monterey, not Ventura. And we found that out a few months ago when I had some issues and I was on the phone with Apple for over 2 hours because I couldn't get Rosetta to go back in. But we did finally get it in, but we had to actually put Monterey back in. This time I actually just did raw Ventura and no problems with Rosetta going in. So whatever bug there was, that bug's been fixed. So, but this is just a example. And you know, some people just aren't using the correct format routine, especially Mac people. And I've seen so many Mac channels or tech channels that are using Apple that are formatting these drives in these Thunderbolt cases using the extended, and you shouldn't be doing that. It's going to be slower. You should be using APFS, right? But whatever, it would show off better if they used the right format routine, that's for sure. You know, and especially that big drop in exFAT, wow, that really was not impressive. So anyway, this is 10 gigabit, obviously. Now, any of these Type-C drive cases will plug in and work in any Thunderbolt port, but you're only going to get Thunderbolt type speeds when you have a Thunderbolt case specifically, which you're not going to buy a Thunderbolt case for $32. Okay, so here we have another Oracle here for $177. The cases, very popular, very popular. But $200, I'm thinking, man, I'm not spending $200. I don't even care if it's toolless, you know, which it actually is. But the thing is, the Acasis is $200. And is it going to offer me much? Like, see, 31, 33, 12, 20, 1200 and something write? Is that for real? Wow, that's a bad write speed. Mind you, that's done on a PC. That's actual crystal disk. But either way, that's a bad write speed. But exFAT is slower. exFAT is very much slower than Mac OS formatting for APFS. Thunderbolt is a more common thing on Macs than it is on PCs. Like virtually every Mac, especially in the last number of years, has always had Thunderbolt ports in the last number of years, right? PCs, rarely do you ever see a PC computer with Thunderbolt, okay? Unless you're spending a lot of money on that computer, good luck getting one with a Thunderbolt port. It's just not happening too often. So when it does, though, it is kind of nice, I guess. But again, this is another guide. This is random read write. This is beware of M1 chip write limit. There is no write limit on the M1 chip, you duh. See, this is what he's testing with. But what format routine is he using? He doesn't even tell us, right? And he's using Western Digital Black SN770, 2 terabyte. Okay, so big deal. I mean, if the case can handle, but here's the cases list, right? So there's drives that they don't recommend, like Samsung Evos. They don't recommend them, probably because they got crummy speeds, M1 Air 2020 with a Western Digital Black. You notice nobody here's got the cojones to actually test a Kingston drive here? It's all this Samsung stuff and Western Digital, Corsair, Sabrents. Well, Sabrents are definitely getting a little on the slow side there too. I mean, I'm getting consistent 2700 plus read and write. I don't even see any of those numbers showing here, other than we do see a 27 twice on reads, but on Samsungs. I mean, your drives do make a difference, It'd be nice if somebody would actually send me in a drive case like this one, and I would actually test the KC3000 against it and my Western Digital, because I have an SN, I think it's a 570 or something. Anyways, I would like to see more testing on different drives, and I would definitely do that. If somebody would be willing to send me one of these cases, I would do it. But because I think that you can't just go by that little list of saying, well, basically this is the best it can do and it's recommended. I mean, this is the best score so far is a 980 Pro 2 terabyte, and that's on a MacBook Pro 2021 M1 Max system, getting 2673 and 2802. That read speed is slower than mine, and the write speed not much faster. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, but how much does this drive also cost, right? Samsung tends to be pretty pricey, and that's, for Samsung being a much more pricier drive than even Kingston's are, that's not too impressive to me. But anyways, it is what it is, right? But the cases, from what I hear, the cases themselves seem to be pretty good. I just could not justify $200. That's why I went after what I did, and I thought, well, you know what? I can always send it back if it doesn't work, and $120 I don't mind spending. Then you've got this. You've got the Sabrent. This is, I'm not really overly impressed with Sabrent cases, okay, or their full out, sold drives, but, I do have a Sabrent 3.2 USB-C, but I mean, I only paid like 20 or 30 bucks, I think, for that case. It wasn't much, but I knew what I was in for, right? That's the thing. And they are good cases, but you got to realize if you don't have Thunderbolt, that's what you buy, right? And whatever drive you put in, don't expect more than 900 read and write on the top side. But anyway, so here we got the Sabrent, and this is the EC103NS. Tool-free design, which I gotta give them the kudos. It is tool-free. Over 9,000 ratings, right? Do we have any speed tests? Yes, we do. 953 and 493. Wow. What did you plug it into? There's no way he plugged that into a friggin' maxing out near the theoretical limit of. Oh, okay, it's maxing out near the theoretical limit of USB 3.2. Actually, well, your read speed is still a little on the sluggy side, I'm afraid. That's way too slow. Even my Sabrent USB 3.2 gen case does better than this. Let's see, what else we have here? Oh, it looks like that's the case he's got. Yeah, that's the case he's got. That's not even Thunderbolt. Why is he putting a friggin' review up for something that's not even Thunderbolt? Well, I guess because they sell them all, they're putting them all in one area. Yeah, there's my review. So there you go. Excellent design, well made. Okay, so this is not even about the case being a Thunderbolt case at all, and it's not even the case in question. So where's the reviews on this actual case? You know, because there's, yeah, there it is. $40 is what I paid for it. There's my case there that I have on my desk that you guys saw earlier. This is just a Type-C 3.2, you know, and I showed you guys what I get out of that. It's just like just under 900 read and write with a really fast drive under the hood. Okay, but it is 3.2, right? So these reviews are weird. So now we're going to have to try and find reviews on the Thunderbolt 3, which it's going to take, that's 9,000 reviews on there. Like, that's going to take us too long. The Oracle upgraded PCIe 3.0, so it's not a 4.0, which means it's basically more of a Thunderbolt 3, 3-ish, 4-ish, but more of a 3, but you can use a 4 drive in a 3 anyways. There's my case, my NDEM. This is what I ordered. 8 ratings on this. I took a chance. 2 terabyte capacity. Doesn't say 8. One guy on here is like, where is he? Down the bottom. Not toolless and not 8 terabyte. Well, I don't know where he read 8 terabyte. And well, as far as toolless goes, well, it does have a friggin' screwdriver they supply. So you don't have to go out and buy a tool. So therefore, it's toolless. You don't need any tools because we give them to you. That could be why they did it that way. I don't know. Even though it says Linux and Windows, it is Mac OS guaranteed. You guys know because I'm using it on a Mac. So, you know. But that's the inside goodies of her. Now, this does come with a thermo pad thing. They actually create more heat than they help for cooling, so I wouldn't use it. It's probably not going to work for you. I may experiment with that pad though, just because I did experiment before in the Sabrent case and it didn't work. It actually generated too much heat. It might actually help this one. Because this drive here, this thing, it's my main OS drive right now, and it's actually at 44 degrees, which isn't bad because my Apple SSD is only at 39, 40 degrees, you know, which is kind of normal for my Apple SSD. That's my internal. And it's actually kind of online, offline right now. It's there. I can make it viewable. I can write to the drive, but I still left the OS intact, so I can't speed test it, which sucks. I'm going to have to wipe it clean before I can speed test it. But we've already speed tested it anyways. We already know this thing cranks out almost 3,000 read and write. But there's my Kingston SKC 3000 at 44. I don't think I could get that any really much cooler with a thermal pad on there anyway. But this case, I would highly recommend, whether you're running Thunderbolt 3 or 4. Now, they say here, this is the funny thing. Max read speed 3,000, max write speed 1,500. Yet down here, they say up to 2,500 read and 2,400 write. I'm getting consistent speeds of over 2,700 read and write, as you guys saw. It's kind of a no-brainer, you know, like, let's show you again. 2746.2, 2745.2. We can do this all day long. It's not going to really change by much. Okay? So we're definitely well above spec, but I'm betting that a good part of that is because it's an Express 4 drive that I put in there. Not an Express 3. And I am Thunderbolt 3 on my Mac Mini, so... And Express 4 does go backwards to Express 3 and Thunderbolt 4 and Thunderbolt 3, they talk to each other just fine. But 3 is, from what I've seen on some flowcharts, 3 is slightly slower than Thunderbolt 4, even though they have the theoretical 40 gigabit limit. So maybe 3 probably runs, I don't know, 30, 35, and 4 actually runs 40. Who knows? I don't have a Thunderbolt 4 port on anything here to verify that. But it's kind of weird how they have this here, and they're plugged into a MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. Now, which one, we don't know, but it doesn't matter. We don't even know what drive unit they're using in there to say what these speeds are. That's the weird thing too, right? It's kind of like different drives are going to react different ways, and different format routine is going to work with a different way too. You know, I found APFS for the Mac people. That's going to be your best and fastest. There's our flow chart right here. Thunderbolt 4, wah, 3, wah. USB 3 and 3.1, going to run really slow. USB 3, even slower. So your top performing speed, they say, is Thunderbolt 4, which means you should be actually using an Express 4 card in there, even though you could use an Express 3 that's high speed either way. But the fastest Express 3, I believe, is only 35 by 35, where Express 4 goes up to 7,000 read and write. So, you know, and we are getting Express 5 and Thunderbolt 5 coming too, so, you know. But there is a limit to how much speed you really actually need that's going to be useful to you too. But the more speed does actually help a lot in a lot of areas. Anyway, so that's what I got for you guys today. Take a look around. You know, Amazon is not the only place to find Thunderbolt cases to build your own Thunderbolt drives. There are other places, but Amazon does give you quite a good selection to choose from, at least, that's not going to break the bank. I did find one really sweet case. It was like $400 almost Canadian, but it was a separate powered case, and it could crank some serious horsepower through it for the drive. So, and it's Thunderbolt, but it was not on Amazon. I had to Google it, and I cannot remember for the life of me where I found it. But you can Google Thunderbolt drive cases, and you'll probably find it there somewhere too. It was around $400, and I was just like, oh, as much as I'd like that, no. You know. And now I know where I'm sitting with Thunderbolt 3 busing. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't go after that case, because I'd never be able to get those speeds on Thunderbolt 3. So that would have been a waste of money. Horrible waste of money, actually. So sticking around these $200 range cases and slightly under $200, it's pretty much about where we should be at least if we have Thunderbolt 3 on our computers. So, and in some cases Thunderbolt 4, you know. But make sure you read the ads, and if they don't say anything bad against a certain drive, try what you've got. And if what you've got works and has some really good speeds, you should be able to get an easy 2700 and change consistently for read and write without any problems whatsoever. You should be able to get slightly better, of course, with Thunderbolt 4 access. So that's where you should be at. So if your drive is within those areas, then you know you've got a good drive for that case. But just remember, your format routines will affect your speed too. So that's the other thing. And I did show you guys that too, how it worked on the Mac with different format routines, including exFAT. So there you go. Anyways, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.